Tales from the Jails with John G. Sutton. Do like and subscribe, folks. It's down there. All right, here we go. I'm going to talk today about... it's another one of the Vernon's girls. Or is it the Beverley sisters? The hostess scheme has seen another success, yeah. Prison officer, female prison officer, in court at Bridgend Crown Court, being tried for inappropriate relations with an inmate. This lady, apparently, she'd taken to not wearing her uniform, but turning up in skin-tight leotard-style trousers that, according to the report to the court, left little to the imagination, whatever that may mean. In that particular respect, I haven't got a very good imagination. I mustn't have, anyway. Her name is Ruth Schmilo, and she's 26 years old, and she's charged with a count of misconduct in public office. And she was working at HMP Prison PARC, which is in Wales. Yeah, and she's actually at Bridgend in Wales anyway. She's at Cardiff Crown Court, not Bridgend Crown Court. And she was still in a probationary period, and struck up a relationship with this particular inmate called Harry Pullin, who's a drug dealer who's serving terms of imprisonment for dealing in drugs. And he's obviously some kind of strange character, because he'd been threatening to harm himself. And for some unknown reason, this lady decided she was going to have a relationship with him. And it's reported to the court that Ruth Schmilo was having a sexual interaction with Harry Pullin on the telephone. Now, I may be a little bit unsophisticated, but I should imagine that's quite difficult. Anyway, although, mind you, these days they've got phones that send videos, haven't they? So maybe that's what she was doing, sending him photos of a reproductive organ. Could be. Something like that. Anyway, that's what's happened. She'd been charged misconduct in public office, and she was working at HMP PARC, which is in actual fact in Bridgend. HMP PARC is a modern kind of establishment. It isn't one of these old Victorian castle-style gothic horror places like Strangeways and Wandsworth. Park's more like a nondescript block of flats in East Germany. If you've ever been to Berlin, you go to East Germany, which was on the other side of the wall. Have a look there. Great big blocks of flats. That's what HMP PARC looks like, but cut off. It's like 3 stories high. So Pullin said that this is Harry Pullin, had been assaulting other prisoners, and drugs had found in his possession, and he threatened to self-harm. And anyway, this Ruth lady, Ruth Schmilo, she had got herself involved with him. And you see, you don't realise this. I mean, a lot of these prisoners, it's their career, isn't it? That's what they do for a living. They're criminals. They're not occasional criminals. They're not white-collar criminals. They are full-blown criminals, and that's their way of life. In prison, that's their environment. And, of course, you get a young lady joins the prison service into the hostess scheme, which they've got now. Never had it when I was there, but they've got it now. And they get enticed and led to believe that they're absolutely beautiful and glamorous and far too pretty to be a prison officer. So that's how they get snared in, yeah? Plus, of course, some of these prisoners have got access to money, So there'll be money involved, no doubt, somewhere along the line. And in return for that, she's wanting a kind of sexual relationship with this inmate. Which, I mean, come on. I mean, what kind of a lady would join the prison service, work in a male prison, and then trap off with the inmates? You've got to want your bloody... I mean, she should be referred to a psychiatrist, if you ask me. Yeah. And as it was, it turned out this Harry Pullum is a convicted drug dealer, a member of one of the gangs outside. He's in a gang, one of these drug smuggling gangs, and that's the kind of person that she'd got herself involved with. So, you see, that's the issue. But as long as somebody at the Home Office has come up with this idea of running the whole system, and they really don't know what they're doing. Because if they did know what they're doing, there wouldn't be all these prison officers on trial and in prison up and down the country. There's one prison where there have been 34, I believe it was, prison officers, female prison officers, who have been charged and incarcerated for inappropriate interactions with the inmates. Doesn't that tell you something? It reminds me a little bit about the case of the post office. Now, that is an absolute bloody disgrace. Whoever was the head of the post office must have realised something was going wrong, and it was their system, their computer system, that was wrong. It was showing that people were stealing money, and they weren't stealing money. It was the computer system was wrong. But in the meantime, hundreds of innocent postmasters and postmistresses were being charged and imprisoned for the system going wrong. Listen, the prison system is going wrong. Home Office, wake up. You can't do this. You're endangering the lives of young females. You think that they're coming and doing a job. They aren't equipped to do the job. You're putting them at risk. And I believe that action should be taken against the Home Office to prevent them from placing vulnerable young females into this position of risk. Because there's been no risk assessment done on these jobs. Absolutely none. Because if they had, then they would realise that it's inappropriate, and what's happening here is it's gross negligence, not on behalf of the prison officers. And the inmates, you can expect exactly that from the inmates. They're going to take advantage if they can, and vulnerable young ladies such as Ruth Schmilo are dragged into the system, manipulated, corrupted, and used by the inmates, and then they're spit out by the system, thrown at the courts, where I don't know what they're trying to prove here. Somebody should do something about this. Home Office, wake up, smell the coffee, realise that you're wrong, and do something about it. The Prison Officers Association, about as much use as a chocolate fireguard. There you got it. Got my thoughts on that. Okay. Now I'm going to do a live broadcast early in January, probably the second Tuesday in January, starting at 7 p.m. I'll give you the dates as we get a bit closer. If you like that, make a note in your diary. I'm going to do that. If you want to join in, great. I'm going to read you a poem now. This is a poem called Addlestrop, written by Edward Thomas. It's about a train stopping at a station called Addlestrop. It doesn't exist anymore. The town of Addlestrop is there, but the train stations have gone following Beeching's great idea that we didn't need trains, but we're going to use them roads. Now look at the roads. You can't get from Birmingham to Manchester without being in a bloody traffic jam. Anyway, here we go. Enough of my moaning. I'm going to read you Addlestrop. Yes, I remember Addlestrop, the name, because one afternoon of heat, the express train drew up there unwontedly. It It was late June. The steam hissed. Someone cleared his throat. No one left. I gotta get rid of that. Here we go. Give me a second. You can get lost. Yeah, I'll start again. Addlestrop by Edward Thomas. Yes, I remember Addlestrop, the name, because one afternoon of heat the express train drew up there unwontedly. It was late June. The steam hissed. Someone cleared his throat. No one left, and no one came on the bare platform. What I saw was Addlestrop, only the name, and willows, willow herb and grass, and meadow sweet, and haycocks dry, no whit less still and lonely fair than the high cloudlets in the sky. And for that minute a blackbird sang close by, and around him, mistier, farther and farther, all the birds of Oxfordshire and Gloucestershire. That's Addlestrop by Edward Thomas. Sincerely hope you enjoyed that. Tales from the Jails with John G. Sutton. Do like and subscribe.